We're all being told just how good AI is, how it's better than all of us put together. It's so intelligent. In fact, AGI, it's just around the corner. But is it really? One of the problems with AI is it's really the sum of averages. I mean, if you think, where are you going to get your business advice from? Mr. Wonderful or Danny DeVito in Taxi, the taxi driver? That's the problem. AI just grabs all the data, all those YouTube videos. Hey, this is one of those, but this is a good one. All those videos, all those threads, Reddit threads, TED Talks, and mashes them all together, puts them into this big blender. And then what do you get? You get this big average of averages. So instead of putting weight, and I suppose at some point, and some of the models will definitely be doing this in the future, they're going to be putting weight and preferences onto specific topics, or you know, the creators, so to speak. And you can do that yourself. You know, I mean, you can create a project where you can load up data and say, only consider this data, don't consider data externally or from the web, and that can be quite beneficial. But here's the problem: too many people are not really aware of how to do that. So there's too many people who will just take the average or just take the default settings in the models and expect that what comes back is going to be, well, let's just say high distinction quality result, when what comes back could just be, a pass, P1, maybe even a P2. So that's part of the problem with these language models and the way AI currently works. Think about how the large language models learn. It's really not just about reading content and understanding content. It's basically capable of absorbing data from various different sources with context, and sometimes without sufficient context. And that's part of the problem. So what can happen is it will read a document or an article that could be very well written, but that document or that article doesn't actually have a strong enough foundation on fact. And so you end up having people expressing opinions, especially within social media, which can be really important for the LLMs to absorb, because sometimes social media can tell us the actual outcome or the actual result we're looking for, but sometimes social media sends us down the garden path. So how does it work in practice? Suppose you want some business advice. I mean, you could go to someone like Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful. I think he's run a lot of businesses and he's produced some really high quality business articles. He's got the experience, a track record. But the problem is the LLM may also be reading advice from some random taxi driver who's sharing his vibes about the market. You know, the ones that tell you this is what's going on and I think and I expect that's what's going to happen. The AI doesn't necessarily know who to trust. And it may be pretty obvious when you get the extremes. The harder place, the much more difficult place for the AI or the LLMs to understand whether you should trust this source or not is within social media. And social media can be a really good source of information, especially if you're looking at something like product reviews or, say, software reviews. And so what you could think about is, well, is this good software? Look at the reviews in social media. A lot of people saying yes, a lot of people say no. The challenge is, what if you get a whole bunch of bots putting in how good the software is and it's all fake? It's fake news. So that's where the LLMs may not actually give you as good a result as you really need. The problem is when your CEO or board of directors are starting to use the LLMs and the AI tools to help them make some really critical business decisions. You see these articles like AI-powered layoffs, companies reducing entry-level roles and they're replacing it with ChatGPT as an example. What they're doing is they're using that average bot to decide the future of your career or the company. It's very efficient, but is it the right thing to do? I mean, AI can do really good research and can save a lot of time if it's used well. However, the problem can be if you give it to the wrong person and you use it incorrectly, the research is either flawed, invalid, or inaccurate, and may not be all that useful. The really challenging thing about AI is it convinces you how smart it is. Well, it tries to. It's pretty good. I mean, it comes back and it tells you how good it is at answering the question that you've asked. It won't tell you it's wrong. You can set a personality into your AI where it will always give you a measure of confidence. So you can have it so that when it returns an answer, it can say, I'm pretty sure, 100% sure, or only 20-30% sure. So that's pretty good if you do that. Can be a bit annoying sometimes, but that is a really valuable feature of some of these models. The most dangerous part about how LLMs work is how good they sound. They come back with some really good answers, and they will defend those answers because they will not admit they're wrong. It's quite funny. You can end up sending them off on a tangent, and they will fight to the death. It's quite, an LLM will fight to the death, will die on a hill that it is absolutely correct. Because it's trained on the millions of peer-reviewed sound instructions, it can make terrible arguments that look credible. It uses the right tone, the right grammar, and you sit there thinking, damn, it's making some really good points. And it also wants to please you. It wants to tell you that you're the best. In fact, as one of my team members said, well, you're its overlord, and it will not want to displease you. That's the funny thing about it. AI will convince you about how good it really is. So where does it leave us? I mean, these LLMs are really incredible tools. They're very powerful and they're very useful if you use them correctly. The worst problem can be is that they will give you an average result. No, actually the worst problem is not so much that it will give you a bad result or an incorrect result, because that can often be quite easy to identify, hey, that's totally wrong. It can be when it's nearly right. And is nearly right worse than being definitely wrong? I don't think so, but in some cases nearly right might be better than being totally wrong.